All right, a good Erev Shabbos, a good day, good afternoon. Yom Yom, what's the day got to tell us? 22 Elul. It's about rebuking another person. You know, the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos says, love criticism. Love criticism. It will elevate you, it will bring you to enlightenment, it will help you. However, here's a piece of advice about how to criticize so that it's effective, so that the person doesn't just say, hey, back off. So here, Hasidic doctrine demands that before reproving another, criticizing another, one must pare his own fingernails. Here's a metaphor, right? Get rid of the stabbing capability. Pare your fingernails in order not to stab the other. So criticism has to be delivered in a way that's not perceived as you're stabbing me. Hey, back off. It has to be done with smoothness, paring the fingernails. They, the forces of evil, seize by the fingernails. It's an interesting idea. If it just you have to think a little bit about the klippas, right? The klippas dance, and that's sometimes expressed in they dance and they feed where holiness is most obscured. So, as we've talked about many times, through the Seder Histalshalis, the coming down is more and more simsum, is more and more concealment, right? And in the human body, where do you find that? The thing that shows the least amount of life, at least amongst the things, but one that we can see every day, is the fingernail. Because you can cut it, it's alive, but it doesn't hurt. The hair is also sometimes used as a metaphor for that. And so the least sensitivity is in the fingernails, and that's an indication that it's a low and covered over and concealed godliness, and that's where the klippas have their adhesion. So that's at least one place, one metaphor, and actuality where the klippas have adhesion. That's why we cut the fingernails, particularly before Shabbos. So the forces of evil, seize by the fingernails. So every stab of rebuke, if the fingernails, if the klippa is not torn away, if the concealment and the elikus is not torn away and the godliness is not revealed in your reproof, in other words, your proof has to be with loving kindness, then it's going to hurt, because every stab is klippa and sitra achra. Now, after the, quote, nails, metaphorically, are paired, there must be washing the hands, calling forth intellect into emotions. How does that metaphor work? The Torah itself is compared to water. Water flows from a high place into a low place. And so, and we learned yesterday, the allness of Hashem infuses itself like water infuses, drips down into Chochmah. And so seichel and intellect is also cold, cool, like water. These are metaphors that you'll find all over Chassidus. That intellect is cool and emotion is warm. And the intellect has to penetrate the emotion. As he says here, the laving of the hand, the water, the drawing of the water is calling forth intellect into emotion. So before you criticize someone else, think about this. One, do it in a way that's not with claws, and do it in a manner that's thoughtful and feelingful. And in that way, the other person can receive the criticism and be elevated by it or improved by it. A lot to say in that little small Yom Yom, boy. Okay.
If anybody has the English Hebrew Yom Yom on page 128, there's a page and a half footnote on this.
About intellect and emotion, way in the back.
Yeah, that's what you incorporated, but it's in length there. Yeah.
And it's long. It's very long. Yeah. It's good.
A little mnemonic device of the klippa and the nails is you have to clip, language. You have to clip the
Clip
nails.
Right,
You know?
exactly. Clip the nails. Lessons in Tanya. We have a long letter today by the Alter Rebbe, one of the pastoral letters. This thing is, Geras HaKodesh seems to be full of, on the one hand, very deep and intellectual and needs a lot of explanation, Hasidus, and then these letters that are sprinkled through, which the Alter Rebbe just bears his heart and talks to the Hasidim. And that's one of the letters that we're going to read today. Letter 16 in Lessons in Tanya, it's on page 285. And I can get this up here. Lakuti Amorim with its napkin attached. Lakuti Amorim, a new letter at the bottom of page Chukov Dalet, letter 16. So, this is easy stuff, meaning this is not the highly complex. This is a heartful letter to the Hasidim from the Alter Rebbe about what seems to be the emerging theme of all of this, which is tzedakah. My beloved ones, my brothers, my friends, Asher Kenafshi, who are like my very soul, the Alter Rebbe is talking. It's not hidden from me. Seika itim, the kvetchedness, the tightness, the hardness, the difficulties of the times. Ashin is daldala, which are impoverished, where we have been impoverished. Our parnasa has been impoverished. Now, daldala, our parnasa. Look at that word daldala. Dal means poor, or even more than poor, impoverished, and it's 2 times, daldala. It's an interesting word, 2 times poor. We have been devastated by the poverty of Parnosa. This is the times when you've probably read about, or maybe at least you know about in history, we all know the severe poverty that existed in Eastern Europe at the time. And nobody had work. So how are we going to give tzedakah? And specifically that which is known to me, from your camps, literally, that our hands have fallen down, below, fallen down, that no man has any livelihood, and no woman has any livelihood, no earnings, and everybody has to borrow in order to eat. And we're not talking about eating steak. We're talking about eating to live. Hashem yirachem aleihim. Hashem should have mercy upon them. Yachiv lehem b'tzara b'korav, and broaden to them their narrowness, their severe straits, immediately, soon. B'korav. Bim kol zeh, and okay, that's the situation. Now the Alter Rebbe has observed something. Bim kol zeh, with all of this, or nevertheless, it's not good what people are doing to themselves, according to what I have heard. They have closed their hands, which had been open in the past, until today. In the past, everyone was giving with a full hand, the ayin yafa, and a nice, a good eye. Who all of the people we were able to give all who needed their vital necessities, the day machzuri ha'avyonim nikim, in order to who were the poor, to those who were machzure, the ones who were lacking, who he calls avyonim nakiyim, the clean, simple, pure, poor people. Asheneim noises uleinu, where their eyes were raised up to us. It causes in my mind the image of little birds in a nest, with their eyes up, raised to their mother, not begging, but expressing the need for sustenance and food. And he said, yes, that's been the situation in the past. There have been many poor amongst us who cry out, whose eyes are raised up, who need. And now the things are very desperate. But you have to think about this, my friends, my beloved ones, who are like a soul to me. If we're not going to be merciful upon them, has v'sholem, mi yirachem aleim, who is going to be merciful upon them? V'chai achicha imach, it's written that the life of your brother is with you. You're responsible for the life of your brother. Now we have something else that seems to contradict that, but he's going to explain doesn't. Also from the Torah. This is from the Torah, a pasuk in the Vayikra, actually. The life of your brother is with you. And then the Gemara tells us the Gemara tells us a situation where your life comes first, and you don't have to be concerned about the life of your brother. But when was that so? It doesn't say that your life takes primacy. It's only when there is one pitcher of water, and if you were to split it, neither of you would have enough to live. So to preserve life, a certain life, the Gemara tells you that the din is you take the whole pitcher. Otherwise, both of you will die. And that's the only time that you can take it all to yourself and not think about giving part of what you have for tzedakah. Because this is something it's equal to two. If you halved it, both of them would die. The shava. And they would. If you didn't do that, you would die of thirst, and you both would die of thirst. However, if a poor person, I hope that's clear, right? That your life comes first. There's a Gemara. That's he quotes here. Your life comes first, but only in a case where if you shared it, both of you would not have enough, and nobody's life would come first. But if a poor person needs bread, lefi hataf, for the kids, the eitzim v'chasos, and he needs wood for the fire, the chasos, and he needs coverings. He needs coverings, the quarter for the cold, ukahai gavna, or anything like this. So all of the needs, the bare necessities of life that people need, come way before, I'm putting it way before, they come before your beautiful garments, the things that you and I and everybody orders from the fancy stores on Amazon, right? That has to be put aside. If people are suffering and their lives are not being fed enough and sheltered enough and comforted enough to live a human life, your so-called things which are beyond necessity have to be put aside. All those levushi koved, those garments of beautiful clothing, bezevak, and that fat piece of meat that you have, the family roast beef, so to speak, basav dogim, and meat and fish, v'chol metamim, and all the delicacies shel adam, v'chol b'nei beisa, and everything that pertains to your heart, to your family. So those who have more and can survive with giving tzedakah must give tzedakah and pare down. Well, it's a different use of the muscle. Pare down your own fingernails. I mean, make your life a little bit more difficult, but you will survive. So there's someone else who, without that you pare down and give to him, won't survive. And it's not, therefore, doesn't apply the principle of your life comes first. Because this that you're dressing fancy and eating roast beef, etc., is not the life of your soul, mamish, as the poor person is in his life or her life being affected because she doesn't or he doesn't have enough to eat to live. So shava b'shava mamish. So that's this idea of having it, back to the pitcher of water, is a say when it's equal. If each of you drank half, you'd stay alive. But this is not the case. The Yisim in the Dorim Daf Pei, as is brought in the Gemara. People are starving. You're not starving. Give. And to give gomer, and he says to give when it's a question of you giving up. I'm just using your roast beef, for example, so that another person can have food to live. This is a din in Shulchan Aruch. This is Lefishuras Hadin. This is according to the straight din. But we've been talking, remember, in Tzedakah about going beyond, all these chapters of Tzedakah going beyond your straight din. Havel be'emes, in truth, ganim hu inyan delay shayakol kach haitamim, even if these reasons are not so applicable, meaning the reason that you have luxuries, one reason we said, you're holding back and you shouldn't hold back if, number one, you have luxuries and they don't, or number two, the poorer people are crying out in complete destitution. So, even inyan delesha, even if these things are not so relevant, these two things are not the affairs of the time, it's proper for every person to not be so penny pinching and exacting in your tzedakah. Lahamid al din, and stand on the din that says a tenth or mitzvah min amuk or a fifth. Don't be so medactic. It's hard to find a good job. Don't be exact. Don't be so finely tuned to the detail of that tzedakah, because in tzedakah there's a whole issue. There's a whole union of putting yourself aside and becoming out of yourself more and more. So it's roy l'chol adam. So it's fit proper for every person. Shalei ledaktik. Don't be so exacting. Lahamid al din, and stand on the Shulchan Aruch's din, a tenth or a fifth. Push yourself, push your life, your own life, and go higher than, beyond the straight din. And worry about the following that our sages have said. What did our sages say? They said, Shekol hamedaktik bekach, anyone who's strict and exacting in tzedakah, soif boiledekach bekach, in the end, things will be measured to you in an exactitude and a refinement that is not necessarily what you want and not necessarily sufficient even. If you're giving insufficiently to someone else, then that measure for measure, right? It can come back to you, God forbid. And also, there's another thing. Every one of us needs mercy from heaven. All the time. And how do we get mercy from heaven? By us being merciful down here below, that affects an emergence of mercy from above. After all the time. And every hour, it's up to us. If we want mercy from Hashem upon us, we have to be merciful with others. Every hour. We have to every hour think about, it's an interesting kind of a selfish way of looking at it, but this is what he's pointing out. Look, it's only from Hashem that our parnosa is our parnosa, and it can change at any time. And we ask Hashem, and particularly in the month of Elul and Tishrei, the Yud Gimel Midos of Rachamim are there, and Ani Ladoidi, the first thing says, the arousal from below affects an arousal from above. If we want Hashem to be merciful on us, and the Alter Rebbe said, we know we all need mercy from Hashem, we need to be merciful on others. So on those, al tzirichim arachimim, to those who need mercy. V'chol hamamis levovoy, and anyone who strengthens his heart, gets hard-hearted, v'kayvish rachamov, and holds back his mercy, conquers his mercies, literally, holds back his mercy, for whatever reason, it will cause the same thing up above. You hold back mercy, Hashem will hold back mercy. Mida keneged mida. Chas v'sholom. And furthermore, there's no person who's so righteous in the earth, who does goodness all the time, and never has done any kind of sin. And we've learned this before. Giving tzedakah is an atonement. And it shields one from all kinds of punishment. And therefore, with everything that I've just said, the Alter Rebbe has said, tzedakah is a refuah, a healing for the body and the soul mamish. This is a pasuk from Eov. Skin for skin, and everything a person has. Promising a man will give anything. A person will give anything to save his own life, to save his own life. So giving tzedakah, we spoke about this, and there was a beautiful line that we learned a few days ago, that when you think about holding back for tzedakah, since tzedakah is the linchpin to Hashem's mercy, and Hashem's mercy is necessary for us to have what we need to be whole. So it says that the little was a person would give any amount of money to save a life, any amount of money. So how much more so to save another person's life, and how much more so your own life, the life of your soul, how much more so one should be willing to give, as Eov said, skin for skin, skin for skin, anything that a person has, he will give over to keep himself alive. So b'shigam, that how much more so, onu ma'aminim b'nei ma'aminim, we are believers, children of believers. Ki tzedakah ein haloi v'la'kodesh baruch hu. This is another facet of this. He's bringing a few little items, right, one after another, to give us a sense of how important giving tzedakah is, even though you may feel that you may have given enough, but you're confronted by someone who has nothing. So these are motivating tools here. Think about the fact that what you give down here below is going to be echoed by what comes down from of heaven to you below, from above. And think about this also, that we believe the following, that tzedakah is just a loan to Hashem. What we give to a poor person is Hashem's, we have increased Hashem's obligation to us. He has to pay us back. We're lending him. It's rak halei v'la'kodesh baruch hu. It's a loan to HaKodesh Baruch Hu. It's written a pasuk, Malve Hashem, Hainin Dal, the one who lends to Hashem. These are the gifts to the poor. And Hashem will pay back. Hashem will bestow and complete and give back to him. Bikaflayim, not only will he give back to you, but he'll give back to you in a twofold manner. Twofold. What's twofold? Well, one, we know that for every mitzvah, there's a reward, right? That the reward of a mitzvah, in most mitzvahs in general, the reward is not in this world. The keren kayemes la'olam haba, the reward stands in the world to come. But in this world, in tzedakah, not only the reward is in the next world, but also a twofold, but olam hazeh, the reward is in this world. Generally, the reward of a mitzvah is not in this world, except for tzedakah. Tzedakah, you get rewarded not only in the future world, but in this world. Because you're doing good in this world to people, creatures in this world. Kedisa b'kedushim seif perakam, as is brought in the Gemara Kedushin. V'gam, another one. I mean, I've lost count here. Maybe it'd be good sometime to go back and count how many reasons he's giving for overextending yourself in tzedakah. V'gam yesh lochush la'oinus chas v'sholem, and also one should worry about the punishment that accrues. When your friends, your cohort, is involved and counted in doing a mitzvah, and you're not counted with them. As is known from the saying of the sages, to those who listen to him come pleasantness. Those who listen, come pleasant, sweetness, really. And there comes to these people, who all of us who engage in tzedakah, a bruchas toiv b'chol Mila Hametiv, in all the goodness that there can be. Hativa Hashem, may Hashem, now he gives us a blessing. Hativa Hashem L'Tayvin, V'Yeshorah. May Hashem bless those who are good and upright. B'nafsham v'nefesh, as is the wish. And here I looked up because the word soul can't be translated here. The word soul. I think I found this in Lessons in Tanya. Those who look in Lessons in Tanya can check me. B'nafsham v'nefesh, as is there the wish of those who wishes the peace upon them. Nafsham. The Hadurash Mikol Lev Nafshim, who wishes peace upon them from all his heart and soul. He's speaking about himself. That Hashem should bless them with goodness and uprightness, as is the wish of the one who seeks peace upon everyone of all of the congregation from all his heart and soul. Yeah. Rivka, your hand is up right away.
Yeah, it's a wonderful preparation for an Elul for Rosh Hashanah, and specifically it comes to mind because I think from the notes I can see that the Rebbe is talking about Kol Chabad, that this is tzedakah for the poor people in Eretz Yisrael, which of course got him in trouble during his lifetime, and also. It reminds me to remind people that you contribute to Kol Chabad because you get this wonderful calendar for the new year.
Okay, a plug for Kol Chabad.
It's a great calendar, and you get you just want the calendar, it's $10, but you can contribute. And he's also talking about when not separating yourself from the community, when everybody is giving, say, to Kol Chabad, or they're giving Keren Hashanah, or they're giving, that you should contribute as part of the community. It's also this idea of being part of a whole. And it's
well, that's what he said, right? If you separate, what Hashem sees if when you're separating yourself from the klal, and the klal is giving to tzedakah. Yeah. At the same time, let's be also mindful, if the person next door to you is starving and is not part of Kol Chabad, the obligation is there too.
And there's other ways than money, which we always remember.
Yeah.
Inviting somebody for a meal, or giving somebody a good word, or there's lots of different things to say. But he's talking here specifically about money, I think.
Yep. Yeah.
Very nice.
Okay.
If I could share, it's right.
Yeah, of course. Right. Yes. Share.
So my father, there were many people from Chabad actually, who were there as well. But my father was in Samarkand during World War II.
Well,
and he had a talent that he was able to fix their farm machinery, even though they couldn't get the missing parts. He was very creative, and he improvised, but he got those machines up and running. So they paid him with wheat. And this was after working for months. And he had one pair of pants. This is war times. And he could sell this wheat on the black market. It's like people need wheat. Everybody's starving there. Yeah. And he said, I can't keep this for myself when people are starving. And he went into the shul in Samarkand, and he took one portion for himself and he distributed the rest.
All right. Beautiful.
So this is really what this is like just an example, a real true example of what the Tanya is speaking about.
And close at hand, only one generation back. So
yeah.
we have it close at hand to be able to do this. Thank you. Anybody else? Really great. All right, we did today in Shabbos. So Emir Hashem will see you on Sunday. And Shabbos. Yeah, go ahead.
No,
Thank you so much.
What?
They're making fun of me. My kids are making fun of me. It's not fun.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that that I understand the Rebbe's viewpoint on shlichus based on this Tanya. If you think of it like instead of tzedakah, instead of money and starving for food, people are starving for Torah. That's
beautiful. Absolutely great. Okay, so good
Yeah.
Shabbos. We'll see you
Shabbos.
Sunday, Mirza Hashem.
Shabbos, thank you.
Shalom, Chodesh Tov. Yay, New Year.
Yay.
Yay.